when I attended the National IANDS Convention in San Diego, I met Sharon Lund and just found her story so wonderful and amazing. And I think all of us harbor fear of AIDS, even today, with all the education that's out there. People are still not quite sure, and hardly any life hasn't been touched by it, even at some distance or closeness, as the case may be. And I think Sharon can give us a whole new perspective on it, because she's been through the whole thing, beginning to end, literally. And it's a beautiful story. So please give a warm welcome to Sharon Lund.
Okay, everyone? Can you hear me? I really want to thank Diane for bringing me to IANDS, and how blessed all of you are to have IANDS, because there's many cities around the United States that doesn't have an organization such as this. And when if you were here earlier, you heard some stories of the men and women that shared some of their experiences. And every time a person shares their experience, their heart opens up more. And it gives you an opportunity to open up your heart more, because they're speaking from the truth. They're speaking from what they experienced. So I'd like to really tell you about my life and death experience. As a child, I was sexually abused by my grandfather for 9 years. Every time we'd visit him, I was told to go down to the cellar and help my grandpa pick out jams and jellies. And he would take me down there, and I kept saying, no, no, no. I didn't ever want to go to my grandfather's. And my dad and mom would say, oh, you have to go, you have to go. And every time I went there, he went down and he raped me in the cellar. But I was really blessed in some ways, if you can find a blessing in it, is that as I was being raped, an angel came to me, and her name was Laura. And I could see Laura, yet I could see through her. She had long blonde hair, and she wore a pink gown, and she got the crystal blue, beautiful blue eyes, just pierced right through you. And she was an angel. And she actually lifted me out of my body so that I wouldn't feel what was going on. And she would take me to the park, she'd take me to the zoo, and she'd take me to the beach and do different things. And then as my grandfather's putting on my underwear, my panties at that time, from 3 to 12 years old, I'd be back in my body. And my body would just be inflamed with this soreness. And my mom and dad would take me to the doctors, and at that time, in those those years and stuff, doctors didn't really look at sexual abuse. So they just kind of gave me stuff and cream, and that was it. Well, because of my sexual abuse, I had very low self-esteem as a child. I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt blessed with my mom because I told her about Laura. And Laura would teach me how to communicate with the animals, how to communicate with the plants, how to communicate with other different kingdoms. So I felt blessed. And my mom she was very spiritual, to the point where she also saw the spirit realm. But she didn't understand that the reason the angel was coming to me was because I was being sexually abused. She just saw it as a gift and encouraged me to work with this angel. And every time I was being sexually abused, my grandfather would say, if you tell anyone, I will kill your mother. I prayed every single night that my grandfather would die. And when he died, I felt responsible for his death. And I hated myself. And I thought, how could I kill him? And the pain and the anger within me for what I had killed him is what I thought was just torturing me. And I grew up as a Catholic, and I always thought the closer I sat to the priest, the closer I was to God, is the way I felt. Well, as time went on, I realized that God was not outside of me. God was within me, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So when my grandfather died, I still had no, I guess, strength or understanding how to tell my mom and dad what was going on. And I decided I wanted to become a nun, because I didn't want anything to do with sex. I knew I wanted a baby girl, but I did not want anything to do with sex or making love. I had nothing. So I went to an all-girls Catholic boarding school and studied to become a nun. And my senior year, I missed one day of Mass, and the Mother Superior said, you're going to hell. And I said, this isn't my God. I don't believe that. I don't believe that God is judgment. I don't believe that God is fearful, So I left the Catholic Church. And my mom always told me as I was going to the Catholic Church, I says, Mom, I don't understand how I have to pray to Jesus and I have to pray to the Virgin Mary when I can talk to God anytime I want. I see God, I hear Him, I feel Him, you know. And it was like the energy, not the beingness, but the energy of God. And feeling it within the plants and within the animals and within all the kingdoms. And she says, just play it low, you know. Say that you're praying to Jesus. Say that you're praying to the Virgin Mary. And just do your own thing. So anyhow, I decided I wasn't going to do the convent. And I thought, well, I really want a child. And I had a friend, a man friend, and I decided that I wanted a child and he was going to give me a child, so we decided to get married. And I married as a virgin, and it was hell, pure hell. Every time we had sex, I saw my grandfather. Every time he touched me or kissed my neck, it was my grandfather. So I ended up divorcing him, and it was only like 2 years, and then I ended up divorcing him. And then I got into an abusive relationship where the man was very physically abusive to me. I could not stand that. And Tom came back to me as one of my very best friends. And he says, you know, I really, really love you. And I says, Tom, I don't know how to be intimate. I says, I love you, but I don't really know how to love. And he says, well, let's just do it again. Let's just be together again. So he was moving, we lived in Japan first, and then we moved to Hawaii. And his cousins were Jehovah's Witness. And they said, you know, it's really wrong for you to be living together. I said, oh, okay. So I became a Jehovah's Witness and got married. And then I realized, no, I don't like this either. So I got out of the Jehovah's Witness. But I was really blessed with my daughter Janine. And I knew that when I was pregnant, I knew that I was going to have a baby girl. I knew that God would not give me a baby boy because I wouldn't know how to love it. I wouldn't know how to care for it because I had such an anger and hatred towards men and boys that I knew that I couldn't do that. And I was blessed with my daughter Janine. And right after right after I gave birth to my daughter, shortly after that I divorced my husband, which was really sad in many ways, but he's happy now. He's married again. So after that, my life was about Janine, truly about Janine. And we moved to LA, and I started working in the AIDS community, and I was teaching up at Marianne Williamson's LA Center for Living, and also working at the Hayride, Louise Hayes Hayride. And I loved working in the AIDS community. And then I met a man at an EST seminar. Somebody was talking about EST, and I met a man at EST, and he just seemed like Prince Charming. And he just swept me right off my feet. I mean, just swept me off. And he had 3 kids, and I loved his kids, and his kids loved me, and my daughter loved him, and they loved my daughter. And we decided that we were going to get married, and we'd only been together for 6 months. And we decided we would not have sex until we got married, which was fine with me, no problem there. Love him even more now. And so we ended up getting married, and on our wedding night, on the wedding day, as I walk out and I'm in my wedding gown, he looks at me and he says, "You're ugly. I hate you. I don't know why I'm marrying you." And this is our wedding day, and I've never seen any meanness about him at all. And he was the manager at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, and he's well respected in the community. And I didn't know what was going on. And as I'm walking, we got married on the 50-yard line of the Rose Bowl. And as I'm walking out to the Rose Bowl on the 50-yard line, I prayed to God and said, "God, what am I supposed to do?" And it was just like 1,000 voices shouted out, "Don't marry him!" And I stood there and I said, "I do." So I didn't learn my lesson. So I married him and ended up going to the country club that was associated with the Rose Bowl. And a guy came up to me, and I was still in the wedding gown and stuff, and he laughed at me. And he says, "You know, I didn't know Bill was going out with a woman." And he just kind of laughed at me, and nothing made sense to me. And then we got to the Huntington Hotel, and it was at Christmas time, and there's a Christmas ball going on. And everybody's all dressed up in their formal ball gowns, and they look beautiful, and here I am in my wedding gown. And he had said that he got the honeymoon suite. And when we got there, he says, oh, we don't have it. And I said, that's fine. I don't need a honeymoon suite. And I tried to butter him, and I tried to hug him, and I tried to kiss him, and he just kind of like pushed me away and pushed me away. And we got up to the room, and he says, I'm going to go take a shower and go to bed, and I'll wait for you. And I says, okay. And still, we have not made love or even touched each other. So he went in and he took a shower, and he came back into bed. And then I went into the bathroom, and I took a shower. I bought a beautiful negligee that was V-cut, and my breast showed, and I thought, this is nice. Looked in the mirror, and I really felt attractive for the first time. And I looked in the mirror, and I got the nerve to open up the door, and as I opened up the door, I noticed he's sleeping. And I go and I tap him on the shoulder, and Bill, nothing. I kissed him, Bill, nothing. And then all of a sudden, he just pops out of bed, and he looks at me, and he says, you look like a whore. What are you, a tramp? And I just was floored. I just went numb and didn't know what to do. And he says, get dressed and get the hell out of here. So I got dressed and I went down to the lobby and I saw all the teenage kids, at the Christmas ball and stuff. Sat down there for about 2 hours and then went back upstairs and knocked on the door and they wouldn't let me in. And then I went downstairs again and then finally let me in. And I says, Bill, we need to talk. And he says, there's nothing to talk about. And I says, we have to talk. And he says, we'll talk in the morning. So I didn't sleep at all that night. And then the next morning as we're having breakfast, I said, Bill, what's going on? And he says, nothing. He says, I'm just in a bad mood. I don't know what's going on. I says, I honestly don't know what's going on. So we went home and the kids, thinking that it was our honeymoon, just running and kissing and hugging us, thinking we were having a great night and great time. And for the next 6 months, I was just walking on eggshells. I could do nothing right. I could say nothing right. I couldn't cook nothing right. I could not clean the house right. I couldn't do anything right. I was dumb, stupid, ignorant, anything. There's nothing I could do right. And 10 days after we were married, Bill said he wanted to consummate our marriage. And I says, Bill, I'm on my period, and I don't make love when I'm on my period. And he says, well, I want to. And I says, no. And he says, you're my wife. So he basically forced me to have sex with him. And as soon as he was done, he threw me off the bed and said, get in the shower, take a shower, and get it the hell out of here. And he locked me out of the bathroom door. Out of the bedroom door, excuse me. And I was floored, and I decided, I have got to end this marriage. This is no way to live. And I went to a judge, and the judge says, okay, we'll grant you the marriage, the divorce. And she said, why did you marry this woman if this is the way, the way you're treating her? And he says, I married her to get custody of my kids, and I married her for her money. So I divorced him, and my daughter and I lived probably about 2 blocks away so that we could be by the other kids because we really loved them. And then after a year, I figured I had got to sever the whole relationship, even with the kids, because it was really destroying me almost. And I ended up becoming anorexic because of the abuse from Bill. And I got so anorexic that at one point I had to send my daughter to Hawaii to live with my parents. And one night I decided the only way to end the pain and suffering from my grandfather's sexual abuse and from the abuse from Bill was to commit suicide. So I went into the bathroom and I took a bottle of pills. And because I had not eaten for so long, I ended up throwing them up. And I was really, really angry at myself. It's like, God damn it, you can't even kill yourself. I was so mad. And I was down to probably 103 pounds at the time. And about 2 nights later, I went into the bathroom, took a bright, shiny razor, put it on my left wrist, leaned against the tub, and knew that I was going to end my life and prayed that Bill would find me. Prayed that he would find me. So I put the razor against my wrist, and I prayed to God. And I said, God, please forgive me for what I'm about to do, but I have to end this pain and suffering. If there's anything I need to do or know before I kill myself, let me know right now. Immediately, the entire bathroom filled up with this brilliant, bright light, brighter than we know here on this earth plane. And I felt warm, and I felt calm, and I felt this inner peace, and I felt the connection to the light. I didn't know it was the light of God at the time. And I just felt calm. And I heard, my child, it's not your time to die. Get yourself into the hospital, and when you get out, you will teach around the world, become a healer, and write books. None of that made sense to me because I wasn't doing any of that. But I knew that I had received a message from God. And I got myself in the hospital, and I was in the hospital for 3 months. And when I got out, sure enough, I was doing some of that. In the hospital, I actually had the blessing of having 2 spirit beings come to me. Scimitar was like 4 feet 9, and he was Asian, Japanese basically. He had long, long blonde hair, and he had a staff. And he appeared to be physical, but yet I could see through him. And he says, I am here to teach you the Eastern philosophy. I'm here to teach you how to heal your mind, body, spirit. Scimitar has no personality at all. It's just like, this is the way. And I remember when I got out of the hospital, he says, I want you to go get some amino acid.